This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Good evening, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for December 7, 2022. And in the news this evening, suspected murder-suicide in St. James. The police in St. James are probing a suspected murder-suicide in Headley Town, Senior District, Cambridge. The body of 42-year-old Alicia Smithson was on Tuesday discovered inside her home on her bed in blood with a sheet around her neck. One of her legs was also tied to her bed. Her boyfriend, identified by residents as Robert, was found hanging from a rope tied to a piece of steel located at the back of the yard. His body was discovered by the deceased woman's uncle. It was reported that her boyfriend was employed at a popular tool supply company in Montego Bay. Westmoreland man's bullet-riddled body found on his bed. The body of a young man was discovered with multiple gunshot wounds at his Darling Street home in Savannah Lamar, Westmoreland on Wednesday morning. The identity of the deceased is not yet known. Reports are that residents heard loud explosions shortly after 1 a.m. The bullet-riddled body of the now-deceased man was later found on his bed by his younger brother, who went to check on him. More details to come. Mortar killed in Manchester ambush. The Manchester police are probing the murder of a man who was killed on Tuesday in Broadleaf district in the parish. The deceased has been identified as Marlon Irwin, otherwise called Muto, a resident of Broadleaf. Broadleaf, a deep rural community, is located south of Porus and east of Royal Flat. Police reports are that about 7 a.m., Irwin was driving his Toyota Axio motorcar on the Hampton Main Road when he was attacked by gunmen traveling in another vehicle. The gunmen opened fire, hitting Irwin multiple times. He was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. All registered security companies to recognize their guards as employees as of April 1. The Jamaica Association of Private Security has announced that all registered security firms will start treating their security officers as employees as of April 1 next year. This decision was made at a high-level meeting with 3 of the top security personnel in the private security industry, JAPS said in a statement released on Wednesday morning. It observed that it was now clear that many security firms are willing to do the right thing and honor the Supreme Court ruling, which states that security officers are employees. The statement added that within days or weeks, each of these security firms will announce their intentions publicly to be compliant with the precedents set by the Supreme Court of Jamaica. We at the Jamaica Association of Private Security will welcome and work with the compliant security firms, the organization added. It said a deadline will be given to the non-compliant companies to do the right thing, adding that after decades of mistrust between security officers and the security managers, JAPS believe both sides will have to work together to get everyone on board. It said the Private Security Regulation Authority will have to stop giving license to registered firms who don't treat their security officers as employees.
We're at least waiting for the government to at least honor the court ruling as of April 1st in terms of the payment. A date could be set in February or January in terms of the companies, because the private sector has to start doing this process due to the security company, security firms. So we are waiting on some press release from Mr. Overton, because he said on RJR News that within days, we security or the private, everybody's supposed to be happy. So we are at least waiting for a statement from Mr. Overton, where at least the names of the companies that are willing to come out and honor the court ruling. We can bring this to the court, but all of us know that it will take time. That's the reality of the matter.
St. Thomas woman facing illegal gun charge granted bail. A St. Thomas woman who was charged jointly with a man following the seizure of an illegal firearm and several rounds of ammunition last month was on Monday granted bail when she appeared before the parish court. LaDonna McLean was granted bail in the sum of $250,000 with a surety. She is to return to court on February 20 next year. McLean's co-accused Duron Foster was remanded. Her attorney, Henley Williams, told the court that his client was asleep on November 16 When about 4 a.m., she was awoken by the police, who informed her that they found a gun and ammunition outside her house. Both Foster and McLean of White Horses in St. Thomas was charged with illegal possession of firearm and ammunition and possession of ganja. According to the police, a team was on an operation when they observed Foster discarding an object. The item was a revolver loaded with 6 rounds of ammunition. Paulwell fined $45,000 for loss of his licensed firearm. Member of Parliament for Kingston Eastern and Port Royal Philip Paulwell was on Wednesday morning fined $45,000 for the negligent loss of his licensed firearm. The leader of opposition business in the House of Representatives is to serve 3 months in prison if the fine is not paid. The sentence was handed down in the Kingston and the St. Andrew Parish Court after he pleaded guilty. Paulwell was charged after his licensed firearm was reportedly stolen in July in Hope Pastor St. Andrew after he made an emergency stop. My vehicle was locked. My firearm was in a pouch on the back seat. I rushed in and out of the premises in 5 to 10 minutes, and by the time I got back out, the window of my back seat was smashed and the bag was removed, he previously told the news. The MP said he made a report to the police the following day and also gave a detailed report to the Firearm Licensing Authority. Section 41A of the Firearms Act states that any person who, being the holder of a licensed certificate or permit in respect of a firearm, losing such a firearm through negligence on his part, shall be guilty of an offense and shall be liable to a fine of $100,000 with or without hard labor for a term not exceeding 12 months. Paulwell was represented by attorney at law Stacey Knight. More unions ink a public sector compensation deal. Financial Secretary Darlene Morrison has reported that the number of unions representing public sector workers who have inked the new compensation system has now increased from 17 to 19. In making the disclosure this morning during a meeting of the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, Morrison also indicated that 20 unions are yet to sign the agreement. The 25,000-plus membership of the Jamaica Teachers Association and the Jamaica Police Federation, which represents rank-and-file members of the police force, as well as the Medical Doctors Association, have not yet signed the new compensation document. Members of the PAAC this morning examined the second supplementary estimates of expenditure, which was tabled in Parliament on Tuesday. During the deliberations, committee members quizzed Morrison on how members of Parliament will be compensated under the new compensation system. Morrison told the committee that there is a formula that is used to determine the increased salaries to be paid to MPs. She said that the formula is linked to the Permanent Secretary Group, but noted that the payment adjustment for those senior technocrats is not yet settled. CXC will maintain SBA concessions for CSEC exams in 2023. The Caribbean Examinations Council says it will maintain concessions for school-based assessments for next year's sitting of Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate examinations. SBA requirements have been reduced by as much as 50% for some subjects. CXC says the 2023 sitting of the regional examinations will be held January 4 to 31 and May 8 to June 16. The examinations body says concessions for CSEC candidates will also include the removal of Section 1 situation responses from modern language orals, but there will be full SBA requirements for Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination students sitting examinations next year and in 2024. Caribbean Certificate of Secondary Level Competence papers will be written from June 19 to 22, while the Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment will be done over 2 days from May 4 to May 5. Caribbean Vocational Qualification Assessments will be conducted between April and September, with specific dates to be determined in collaboration with the participating ministries of education. Police launch a manhunt for injured gunman who held up Manchester gas station. Police have launched a manhunt in search of a gunman who was shot by a licensed firearm holder during a robbery at a gas station in Crosskeys, South Manchester on Wednesday. Preliminary reports are that shortly before 3 p.m., the gunman held up the gas station. He was challenged by the firearm holder and the shootout ensued. Both the licensed firearm holder and the gunman were shot. The injured gunman fled the scene. Police said the licensed firearm holder was rushed to the hospital. This latest incident follows Tuesday night's robbery of another gas station in Knockpatrick, also in Manchester. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.